Have you found yourself in a debate with someone recently, a debate over, say, vaccinations, lockdowns? Do you think vaccinations are going to become mandatory later this year? Are you for or against that? How do you think the government is handling the current coronavirus situation? Do you think the lockdowns are justified? What do you think about certain businesses being deemed essential while all the others are ordered to shut down? What do you think about the masks that we're supposed to wear? Do you think they're effective or not? Do you think they're detrimental or not? These are the kind of debates that we're often having with our friends, our colleagues, our family members, and these can lead to some heated arguments sometimes because people have very strong views about them. But here's the thing: a lot of people are discussing this online. A lot of experts, a lot of people in business, a lot of people in the medical field are coming out and saying, "Look, this is what is going on. There's no science behind this." They're debating what's going on. A lot of people are saying the lockdowns, there's some ulterior motive to it. There's a lot of debate going on about what we're facing right now because, frankly, we have never seen this sort of a situation before. So there is a lot of debate. But the thing is, when it comes online, what we are seeing for the past 2-3 months, I'd say, is that we are seeing a lot more takedowns, a lot more platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Dailymotion, Vimeo, Instagram, Twitter. All of these platforms, what they're doing is, if you say something that could possibly come in the way of public safety, right, they take your video down. And this has happened to a lot of popular YouTubers, a lot of channels where they interview experts. This is happening. What do I think about this whole thing? Is it justified? This is a form of censorship. Is this kind of censorship justified? Is it against freedom of speech? These are the kind of questions that people are asking right now. And my view is pretty straightforward. YouTube or whichever other platform in question over here is perfectly justified in doing what they're doing. Okay, so why am I talking about this? I had no videos taken down, so why am I doing this? Well, over here, we discussed the latest in business, media, and trends. And I think censorship is right at the intersection of all these three avenues. And it is something that I have a strong view about. So I'm going to use this opportunity to share what I think about what's going on. See, here's the thing. I believe that the best way to learn something is through debate. The best way is to listen to multiple arguments, multiple sides on any issue, is to listen to multiple people debate, and to take it a step further, to debate yourself, to debate with people who are qualified to debate with you, not people who would personally attack you and make it personal.
Say something! You lousy bunch of bleeding hearts. You're not going to intimidate me.
People who know something about a certain subject and have a certain strong view and are able to justify that with facts and points and examples. These are the kind of people I like to have debates with because it often leads to something. It leads to a more comprehensive picture for me. I have a better understanding on whatever that subject is coming out of that debate. So here's the thing. What is censorship? What is going on right now online? Alex Jones, 2018. He was removed from Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of them, banned his account. He lost his account and he had to set up his own radio show because none of these platforms allowed him to come on board because he was exposing a lot of conspiracy theories. That was way back in 2018. And then right now, where we're at is that a lot of popular YouTubers who do interviews with different experts like Patrick Bet-David at Valuetainment, like Brian Rose with London Real, a lot of channels like this, and even hardcore conspiracy theorists like David Icke have lost their accounts or have had certain videos being taken down and been warned that if you upload content that is not in line with a certain guideline that YouTube has laid out, which happens to be anything against what WHO is saying in terms of how the coronavirus should be viewed and handled, if you say something against these guidelines, we'll have to take your video down, we'll have to warn you, and you might even end up losing your account, is what YouTube is saying. I myself, in the past 2 to 3 months, have seen at least a couple of videos where I start watching it and then within about 3-4 minutes, this video is about 20-30 minutes, within about 3-4 minutes, the video just ends. Like it just says the video is gone and the video is deleted, and then I have to find another re-upload of the same video. There was one video by this doctor that I had to watch in 3 parts. I had to watch 3 different videos to get through it fully because every time I tapped in to watch it, it was taken down as I watch it. So it's very common what's going on right now in terms of taking down people, especially certain blacklisted people who are going against what the accepted policy, the accepted view of what's going on right now is. And as I said, whichever platform it is, YouTube, social media, they are justified in taking the video down. But does that mean I'm saying they should be taken down because the people who are in the videos, they're talking rubbish, they're unscientific, they're not factual, or they're a threat to public safety. I'm not implying any of that. What I'm saying is that YouTube has a policy in place, a community guideline as they call it, and if you as a creator violate any one of them, they have a right to pull down your video. It's as simple as that. Would I prefer a platform where people are allowed to freely speak whatever they like without being censored? Absolutely. But am I saying that that YouTube is justified in taking these videos down? Yes, and I'm going to tell you why exactly I think it is justified to be censoring content as one of these major platforms. Here's the thing, most of the world, most of the developed world at least, is capitalistic. They have a lot of elements of capitalism, a lot of elements of what makes a free market. Okay, I'm not saying it's perfectly capitalistic. There's a lot of regulated industries, there's a lot of intervention, a lot of regulation, but it is still generally capitalistic, and we have moved a long way from just 200-300 years ago, where now most of the world really is a free space and you are allowed to pursue what matters to you. I'm excluding social norms over here for a moment, but just economically speaking, you are allowed to pursue what matters to you. So if you want to have a safe, secure 9-to-5 job, that's possible. You want to have a little bit more of an income, you want to produce more, you want to live a better lifestyle, a higher standard of living in a better city, you can get a job that suits that sort of lifestyle. You want to build a small business, you can do that. You can invest your own money, you can have your own sole proprietorship, you can run a small shop of your own. You have a plan for a medium-sized business and you get a few friends around, you partner up, you own a stake in the business and you do something. Or you want to run a major corporation, you bring in institutional investors, you convince them to come on board and you build something worth pursuing in return for a profit at some later point. Okay, you're Elon Musk, you have a couple of businesses on Earth and then you say, I'm going to go to Mars, and you convince the public, you convince your investors to support you in that cause, right? So people are allowed to pursue what matters to them. Even YouTube was a company that was started, before 2010. You could upload videos. So basically what YouTube is today, the basic idea was essentially how it started, and then YouTube was bought by Google. And Google scaled it to what it is today, where over 2 billion people use YouTube every single month. I don't know how many platforms can say that proudly. 2 billion people use YouTube every single month. So it's a great achievement what they've been able to do, and now we have access to great content at our fingertips, in our phones, in our laptops, because of platforms like YouTube and Facebook. So with YouTube right now, all I have to do is invest my time and energy into making videos and then upload it on this platform, and they take care of all the distribution, they take care of finding the right audience, they take care of showing the right people, the kind of people who might be interested in what I'm doing over here. So applies to all the other YouTubers who are doing what they're doing, where we just focus on the content and all the distribution is taken care of. I can literally reach millions of people if my video is that popular. I can reach millions of people overnight just by investing a little time in creating something either educational, entertaining, whatever. But we have a platform. This wasn't the case even 30 years ago. 30 years ago, if I had to do what I'm doing right now, you know what that'll take? That'll take tens of millions of dollars in investment to actually have a studio, to have the equipment, to have the deals, to actually have it streamed, the distribution network. Imagine what I would be competing with the major news corporations 30 years ago if I had to put out content. And now, as you know, mainstream media is kind of suffering because people have so many choices as to the kind of content they want to watch. They don't have just mainstream news. They can switch over to YouTube. They have Netflix. They have Facebook. There's so many sources of content, and all of these guys are competing for just one thing. One thing is our time. They're all competing for our time. They want a share of our time and attention, and all of them are trying to innovate and offer different things so that they capture our attention, and they're doing a great job with that. And as a creator, as any creator, we just focus on making great content and we have a great distribution network. I think this is a great feat, and if that means that they have certain community guidelines that we must follow, so be it. And here's the thing. If they want to change the community guidelines right now just to remove a certain video, I'd even say that that's justified. That's just because it's a private company, they change their guidelines, and as a creator, you have a choice to stay on YouTube or not. Take Joe Rogan, for instance. Joe Rogan, for those of you who don't know, he has a very popular podcast, a very popular show in which he interviews different people. He has honest conversations, long-form conversations, 1 to 2 to even 3 hours with different exciting people. He had an interview with Elon Musk that I think even now is the #1 podcast in terms of views. It went over 30 million views on YouTube and probably other platforms. But here's the thing, just a few days ago, He signed a deal with Spotify. He signed a deal with Spotify to have all of his content over there, and it's an exclusive deal. So only Spotify will have his content. If you want to watch any Joe Rogan later on this year, you'll have to go to Spotify. And I was like, okay, Spotify, it's only for music, it's only for podcasts, the audio stuff, right? How are they going to have his videos there? Apparently, they're going to have a video function by the end of the year introduced, and all of his videos will be there as well. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I want you to be thinking about. They paid $100 million to have a multiple-year deal with Joe Rogan and have exclusive access to his content. So, anyone who wants to listen to him has to install Spotify now, which is probably a great avenue for them to get new users, and probably they'll end up subscribing to Spotify Premium, or even just listen to ads. And Spotify tends to gain in the long run. But here's the thing. As soon as this deal was confirmed and all the news outlets covered it, do you know what happened to their stock price? Stock price went up. And if you look at their market cap, the value of the company, before and after the announcement of this news, it went up by almost $4 billion. Okay, so let me get this right. You pay $100 million to someone for a deal. Okay, you invest and you commit to $100 million to get a certain person on board, and your market value goes up by $4 billion. That's like what, a 40x return? Imagine how YouTube must be feeling. This just shows you the value of content, and this probably raises the value of many other creators right now. They probably know what they're worth. Like, so if you build a great following on YouTube, probably the other platforms would try to poach you and offer some sort of a better deal. You see, this is an example of competition. This is an example of how multiple players are trying to compete to get the best content, to get the best people, to get the best returns on what they're offering. This can happen only in a capitalistic economy, and if that means that they have certain guidelines, like in Spotify's case, Spotify said that they won't really interfere with this creative material. So Joe Rogan will be free to, talk about whatever he likes. Where in YouTube, there are certain live streams of Joe which have been reported to have contained misinformation, and they may have been taken down in the past, which is why he doesn't do that many lives anymore. Spotify is going to give him full autonomy and allow him to do what he's doing best. Now, that's an example of Spotify came in and they said, look, we're going to offer you a better deal. Right? So even in this case where a lot of content is being taken down, a lot of people are losing their accounts. In Brian Rose's case, he lost his LinkedIn account, just gone. Okay, Facebook, I don't know what it's like, but Instagram and YouTube, a lot of videos have been taken down. A lot of interviews with conspiracy theorists have been taken down. And what he's decided to do is build a digital freedom platform, as he calls it. He is crowdsourcing this. He's already done it. I think he's raised almost $500,000, and he's going to have a separate platform. He already has it, where you can watch his live streams and all the controversial content. He's going to move it over there. He's calling it the digital freedom platform, and we're allowed to go there and consume it. Imagine if YouTube didn't do this. I mean, he wouldn't be forced to actually take a step. So this is a great example of, again, the entrepreneurial spirit, where he was banned by YouTube and he decides, okay, I'm going out on my own. Same for Alex Jones. Alex Jones created his own major radio show after being taken down in 2018. Joe Rogan is now moving to Spotify. I mean, this is an example of how multiple stakeholders, multiple players are competing to achieve the best outcome. And while all this is going on, let's not forget that all of these people, all of these conspiracy theorists, all of these experts, a lot of these guys from the medical field, everyone who's exposing these systems, all of their content on YouTube, do you think they would be given a chance on mainstream news to come on a mainstream news channel and share what they're sharing? Never. Never. Even if they have appeared, it's probably their first and last time they would be on airing on a news channel. The reason is this. A lot of these news channels, they're owned by very few people, very few major companies that pretty much control the rest of the media ecosystem. This is a well-known fact. There's no conspiracy in this. There are a lot of Rupert Murdoch, for instance. He owns a huge number of news corporations. So there are a couple of people like that who own a lot of the media companies, and obviously the editorial policies are also very streamlined in a way that they can't cover certain topics that probably come in the way of their interest. For example, one of the major funders of news channels, news companies, is pharmaceutical companies, which means they spend the most in ads, okay, which is a major source of revenue for these news channels. So don't you think that their policy would also be in line in a way that they don't cover anything that probably comes is of detriment to them, because then their ad revenue will stop? Don't you think that they would make such a decision? It's perfectly natural. If you were heading one of those companies, it's probably a sensible decision to take. Is it the best long term? Maybe, maybe not, but it is a sensible decision to say, okay, I'm going to protect the interests of the people who are driving most of my business in terms of revenue, and if anyone wants to say anything against them, I'm not going to have them on board. Okay, fair enough. Most of the media, mainstream media, has such policies, so these guys would never come on board. Which is why everything that I had a post the other day which basically said have multiple sources. Everything you read, whether it's this video, whether it's other people's interviews, whether it's on the newspaper, have multiple sources. Have 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 different outlets where if you're serious about learning, if you don't want to look at this, no problem. You can live jolly, no problem. But if you do want to know something, if you do want to have a view about something, make sure you check multiple sources. You check multiple news publications. You probably check the alternative media, check YouTube, check different people's views, discuss, have multiple sources so that you listen to multiple people and then you come up with your own view. Because with mainstream media, I mean, right now especially, we're seeing so much fear mongering because they thrive on sensational news. You're not going to get viewership by saying, hey, today was a great day. No, it's fear mongering. You got to say how many new cases you have, how many new deaths you have. It's mongering fear. That's the only thing that gets them attention. That's not the same on YouTube. YouTube operates very differently. All these other platforms also operate slightly differently. But mainstream news, the only thing they have to have them thrive is sensational news, to say big headlines, over generalization. So they often just live on this fact that, okay, let's fear monger a little more, grab more attention, grab more eyeballs. So which is why everything you read, just take it with not a pinch but like a whole container of salt. That's how serious it is, because they're going to continue to fear monger. And if you really want to know what's going on, you need to listen to multiple sources to see if that fear is justified, to see the facts behind it. Okay, so that's how I look at the whole issue of censorship right now. As I said, I think it's perfectly justified. There are good arguments on the other side though, but I think it is perfectly justified that these platforms have a policy in place and they say, okay, certain videos are not allowed. Perfectly justified. And let me give you an example of a company that everyone's talking about right now. Zoom. Zoom was a company even 3, 4, 5 years ago we wouldn't have heard about. Okay, but now they're a major player. Okay, they're worth over 40 billion, and all they do is video conferencing. One product, video conferencing, mostly free, but they have certain premium customers who pay for slightly longer sessions, but that's their model. They have video conferencing. They provide that infrastructure with many different people. Now Zoom as a company, the founder Eric Yuan, okay, his wiki page is super straightforward. If you want to check it out, you can, but just a fun fact over here. He joined a company. He wanted to be part of the tech boom. He joined a company in Silicon Valley that was doing video conferencing, and he was working there. He was a VP, and he proposed this idea that, hey, okay, why don't we have a mobile app to do video conferencing? Do you know what happened? They rejected his idea. They rejected this Eric Yuan's idea, and he decided to leave the company and start his own. He started Zoom, okay? And the rest is history, really, okay? Here's what I want you to be thinking about. We don't know, okay, all these, the digital freedom platform that Brian Rose has started, David Icke's iconic platform, Alex Jones' radio show, and Joe Rogan's deal with Spotify. I mean, we are seeing so many more avenues right now. We don't know what these platforms will be worth 10 years from now. We don't know if they're going to become major players. We're just at the beginning. Who's going to create the next YouTube? Who's going to create the next platform? Right? Because the solution is not just intervention and just screaming about freedom of speech. Brian Rose, for instance, he's talking about taking YouTube to court and having his videos back, which is great. He's trying, but he's also set up his platform. So if this doesn't work, he's going to still have his platform, and that's the future. We're seeing more people come out and make moves like this. So who's going to have the next YouTube? Who's going to build the next Facebook? We'll see.